Hey guys, if you are planning a trip to Bangkok, Thailand, this video is going to give you all the information you need on doing the planning and then getting the most out of your trip. Stick around for all the tips you need for Bangkok travel planning. So the first thing to think about when coming to Bangkok is accommodation. So what are your options? So there's I would say there's three main ones. There's going to be things like hostels, there's going to be hotels, and then Airbnb kind of fits in a little bit in between. So as far as hostels go, those are good. They're going to be really inexpensive a lot of times, and you're going to get a good experience if you want to be social and meet other people. As far as hotels go, you can get hotels that range from being relatively cheap to 5-star expensive hotels, and you're gonna you can get a very catered, very bougie experience with that kind of stuff. We have been doing Airbnbs, and those are a very unique experience. It's sort of like what we're looking for in a travel experience. It's not there's no hand holding. Your hosts are there to kind of like if there's problems or anything, but it's not like you have a concierge and you have room service and you have housekeeping and things like that. And there's sort of a weird thing in Thailand where, or at least in Bangkok, where it's not clear how legal it is to do short-term rentals, and some buildings don't like it, and so there can be some signs around that say, hey, short-term rentals, it's illegal. We've done this twice and it's been fine, but definitely not for everybody. So between doing Airbnb, hotels, and hostels, it really depends on the experience you want to get. They're going to be very different. Like I said, with hostels, it tends to be sort of a younger crowd, maybe even a single crowd if that's what you're looking for. A lot of times it's easier to meet people. Of course, it can be a lot more inexpensive. Hotels, that can be really good if you want an experience where you're very catered to and things like that. But like I said, we kind of like the Airbnb thing. There's no hand holding. It tends to be a lot more local. We tend to like that flavor a lot more, and we don't mind that whole thing where there's like a bit of almost hostility towards day rental people, and where there sometimes where you kind of have to feel like you're sneaking around. We don't necessarily mind that, and especially since we don't like paying for all the extra things. Like you stay at a hotel, you're paying for continental breakfast, something that we absolutely do not want. We want to go get street food and stuff like that. So it's perfect for us. We like that. As far as areas, man, there are so many areas to choose from. But as I'll talk about in the next entry, you want to think about being near public transportation. That, I think, is the number one thing. All right, so the second thing about planning is how do you get around Bangkok, and that is actually a really important thing. It is a huge city. There is a lot to do, and you're going to need to be able to get around to various places and do so efficiently in terms of time and cost. So, as I was just saying, you really want to think about staying near public transportation, and especially near the MRT or BTS, and that's going to be Bangkok subway, or it's going to be Bangkok SkyTrain. Those are huge lines that go all across the city, and so they're all interconnected, and they're really close to a lot of stuff that you're going to want to be doing. So I would say stay near a BTS or MRT line and choose that as a starting point, because that's going to be important to getting around effectively. All right, so why is it important to be near the BTS or MRT, the SkyTrain or the subway? It's because Bangkok traffic is notoriously crazy, especially during the week, midday, and you want to avoid it at all costs. Sure, taxis are super inexpensive and an easy way and cheap way to get around. But during certain times of the day, it'll take you 2 or 3 times the amount of time to get from point A to point B in a taxi. You'll just sit around in traffic for a long ass time. So you need to have the option of taking public transportation. Use something like Google Maps to kind of get a sense of how long it's going to take. But a lot of times we'll just take public transportation because it ends up being a lot shorter than a taxi ride. All right, so as far as general options for transportation, taxis are really inexpensive, and the key with taxis is to make sure that you get a metered rate. Especially during certain times of night, taxis are going to say, no, we don't want to do a meter. then they can charge you kind of whatever they want, and it can get kind of dicey, and especially if you don't know what costs should be, you're probably gonna get overcharged. So keep that in mind. But taxis on the meter, that's going to be really, really cost effective. Like for instance, we just took a ride. It was less than 100 baht, which is right around $1. And we went pretty far. It was about a 20-minute ride, but it's during the weekend, and so there wasn't that much traffic. As far as like another fun thing to do is tuk-tuks. Tuk-tuks are a great thing to do. Tuk-tuks are super amusing. But you're gonna have to haggle with those guys. There are no set rates. There is no meter on tuk-tuks. But again, it's one of those quintessential things you gotta do when you come to Thailand, when you come to Bangkok. You gotta ride in tuk-tuk. But try to get a sense of what it costs. What I always say is, use an app like Uber or Grab, something like that, a rideshare app, and get a general sense of what the cost is gonna be, and negotiate from there. Of course, you're not gonna be able to get that rate from a tuk-tuk driver. They know that they can charge a premium. So, but that's a place to kind of just get a general ballpark at least. But you're paying for the experience. The ride is going to be more expensive. At the same time, it's going to be a lot more fun. So definitely, keep that in mind. So other options, like I said, the BTS and the MRT, those are things that we use all the time. Really safe, really easy to use, and really cost effective. A lot of times a ride for two is going to be probably just over $1 or so, depending on how many stops you go to. But it can be maybe on average $1 per person. And trains come all the time. Those are really good. A few other honorable mentions. There is a good bus line in Bangkok, although we have not taken the bus yet. Nothing against the bus, but for us, like, we'll take the BTS or the MRT, or we'll take a tuk-tuk or a taxi if that's going to be fast. So we haven't taken the time to really figure out the bus, but bus is a good option. Another one is the motor scooter taxis, which are really, really cool actually. So you essentially ride on the back of a guy's motor scooter. Really a cost-effective way to get around, and this can be a good way to get around if you need to use streets to get around, because the scooters can kind of get in and out of traffic where the taxis and other vehicles can't. So that's transportation around Bangkok. And one additional piece as far as transportation goes is boats. I kind of forgot to mention that one. There are really good canal boats that kind of sneak through the city. Those are so much fun. Really amazing experience. You get to see sort of sides of Bangkok that you would never otherwise be able to see. And there's a bunch of boats that kind of go up the main river. I think it's the Chao Phraya River. Going from like taxi kind of boats to like big cruise boats, things like that. But there's a really inexpensive taxi that goes to a bunch of stops, kind of all the tourist attractions and places like that. That's also a great way to get around. All right, so you got a place to stay and you kind of know where you're gonna stay. Now you're in Bangkok, what are you gonna do? Well, that's kind of a hard question. There is so much to do here, but I'll kind of give you the main things that we like to focus on. Food is the number one thing. Food is so good here. Street food is amazing, restaurant food is amazing. You have a lot of variety. The Thai food is just fabulous. Shopping is everywhere as well. Shopping is just, anywhere you go, you're gonna be able to do shopping. And you can see where I am right now is the Chatuchak Weekend Market. Best shopping in Bangkok for sure. Make sure you come here. We came here twice on this trip, and we only went once last time, and it's our favorite shopping by far. Price is the best. You find really unique things that are handmade here, unique designs, but then at the same time you can find the same sort of touristy stuff that you want. That is, kind of the stuff that you'll see on the street. So like, if anything, wait and buy stuff here. This is the best place to do it. So you got shopping, you got food, and then temples. There's a lot of temples. We did a lot of temples last trip. We didn't really do that many temples this time. It's one of those things you kind of get templed out in a lot of ways. Once you've seen one, you've seen them all. But definitely something to check out. So again, it's really hard to go over all the potential things you can do in Bangkok, and it really depends on what you're looking to get out of your vacation and your experience. But I want to kind of give you just to step back, just kind of give you a general sense of like pacing and things. And this is a place where it's all about the journey and not the destination. I know that sounds trite, but it's really true here. My suggestion would be, don't plan that many things throughout the day. Maybe plan one thing in the morning, one thing at night, and then take time to just walk around and explore. Go down random side alleys. Thailand is one of the safest places that I have ever been. Honestly, I would say in some ways it's a lot safer than Seattle, where we come from. You know, like you don't really see crime. It is really, really safe. So, I mean, take time to explore. Take time to try random street food that you find. Usually it's gonna cost you less than $1, and so if it's gross, hey, you can get rid of it. Find something else that's awesome. But really, like, this is an exploring city. Walk a lot. You know, just walk around random areas. So yeah, don't plan too much. Just enjoy the journey and explore. Again, it's all about the journey, not the destination. Okay, so another thing that people talk about a lot and that some people are scared of is street food. And what I would say is, do not be afraid of street food. One of the things is, like, street food is some of the best that you will find, and it is absurdly inexpensive. Some of the best meals I have literally ever had are on the street, cost something around, you know, a couple dollars, $3 at the most. Just, you know, amazing street food scene. It's everywhere, and that's where we get, you know, most of our food when we come to Thailand, is on the street. So, you know, don't be afraid of street food. But a lot of people say, oh, you know, I'm concerned, I'm gonna get sick and it's gonna be really bad. We've never gotten sick. We've never gotten sick off of street food. But really, just, you know, use common sense. Go to places where there's a lot of people, where there's a lot of traffic, especially where locals eat. These places are not gonna survive if locals are getting sick, and especially, you know, if you find a place where there's a lot of turnover, the stuff is gonna be fresh. It's usually cooked right there. So do not be afraid of the street food. Street food is the best here. Another thing to keep in mind about Bangkok is it's a very time-dependent place. And let me explain what I mean by that. So you'll be going down a street in the morning and it'll be like totally dead, there'll be nobody there, and then the same street at night, or even a few hours later, is gonna be bustling and just full of people and totally packed. So don't assume that the way something looks right now is the way it's gonna look in a few hours or during the day or in the morning. Everything really changes around here. So to give you an example, like this Chatuchak Market, it is only Saturday and Sunday. So sometimes it's hour, time of day dependent. Sometimes places are only open for a few hours, or it's only open on a certain day. So this Chatuchak weekend market, as the name suggests, is only open on the weekends. So that's something to kind of keep in mind, is, you know, kind of plan for the specific days that you're going to be here to come to places like this. Definitely want to come to Chatuchak. And think about, you know, when is stuff open? Is it open at night? Is it open during the day? Is it open only in the middle of the day for a couple of hours? That is a really important thing to keep in mind, because Bangkok is really time dependent, but that makes it really fun. You know, you go down the street like, oh, it's dead, there's nothing going on here, and then you turn around and then an hour later it is packed with street vendors, and people just like come out of the woodwork, and suddenly it's just like this bustling area that is super vibrant. It's a very transformative kind of thing, which is really amazing. Again, one of those things that I just love about this city. The final tip is just going to be sort of a suggestion on how to plan your day, and this is how we tend to do things. It's sort of our pace, and like I said earlier, don't pack in too much stuff into the day. You want to be able to explore. But what we'd like to do is, because it's cooler in the morning and then gets really hot in the afternoon and then kind of cools off at night, and that's sort of how things are around here. Things can kind of quiet down when it's the hot heat of the day, in the middle of the day. Sometimes we like to plan an activity for the morning. We'll do something, you know, maybe like, you know, we would go to a temple, or, you know, go shopping or something. Plan one morning activity and then go back to the hotel or to the Airbnb that we're staying and hang out at the pool for a few hours, chill out, kind of, you know, get our energy back, especially if we've been walking around, our feet are tired, and then go out at night. So it's kind of split it up, do morning and night stuff. That tends to be a really fun, relaxing way to do things. And then you don't get tired out, you don't get exposed to the heat of the day where it's at its hottest. So yeah, that would be my suggestion for planning your days. All right, y'all, so those are our main tips for planning your trip to Bangkok and sort of for Thailand in general. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, we'd appreciate it, and consider subscribing for more great travel content. We got a lot more stuff on Thailand, best temples to go to, great spots to eat. Check it out, subscribe, and yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any additional questions, feel free to give us ask us a question down in the comments. I mean, this is just scratching the surface. There is so much to do in this city. We'd be happy to give you tips, let you know what we did, what we liked, what we didn't, suggestions on places to go. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And again, thanks for watching. We will see you again in the next video. Cheers.